Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Rig It with a Coach on Monday at Big Bite Baits. And Brandon, we didn't get to go last week because of the weather, and we're back going live today and everything, and it's doing just what it did the last time me and you talked. It's raining. I think it's southwest Alabama, southeast Alabama, and southwest and southeast Georgia. It gets rain every day.
It's been every day.
It's like a daggum monsoon or something.
Yes.
So can't go nowhere because the mud roads are all muddy, and this is awful. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about fishing today. I do want to recommend to everybody, if you don't have a catalog, to get one. Our new catalog's got the smallmouth on both sides. I told you this earlier. You can get one of these, I believe, online. You can also email us in. What would be that email we need to use?
It'd be like contact@bigbitebaits.com.
Contact@bigbitebaits.com and ask for a free catalog. We'd be glad to send you one out. It's always nice to have one to be able to look and see the different colors that we offer in baits, because whoever your dealer is might not choose to carry all the colors. And we keep all the colors here all the time, so that's just a good vibe. You can find something maybe that's different that you hadn't been using that you might like.
And that's got all the new products and everything.
That's right. So I thought today I'd talk just a little bit about the Paragon hat. Just want to mention that we still have those in stock. Have it in blue and white, and then of course the gray and black. I really like this hat. It's got kind of a little flex band in it. Wears really well. Highly would recommend that to you. Plus, I think it looks kind of neat. So something different, a little different logo on it. And anyway, they're available online. I think they're $24.99 if I'm not mistaken. So give us be glad say you went online. Just give us a shout out, and we'll take care of you for sure. Thought today we might just spend a few minutes talking about flipping and some baits that we make here at Big Bite Baits. Specifically for flipping, and I'm gonna give you one old one, probably one of the oldest baits we have, and then of course I'm gonna give you a new one that we just came out with to talk about. So I guess I got a punching rig set up here with a big 1.5 ounce lead on it, and I've got the oldest flipping bait I think possibly. I don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure it's the oldest bait we make, one of the oldest baits we make here at Big Bite, called the Yo Mama. And it's a beaver style bait, and I've got it on this punching rig with a punching skirt. It's a real neat bait. I'm gonna kind of just pull it out from under the skirt if I can, let everybody see the Yo Mama. And it's a neat bait. It's a good looking beaver style bait. And the thing I like about it is you can do one or two things with it now. If you want it to be real subtle and be just like a beaver type bait, you leave these two tails attached. If you want it to be more action, so have more action, of some variety, then you can pull the two tails apart, and you can get that flap, that action look. So definitely something to think about. Sometimes when that bait's falling through, say if you're punching hyacinths or grass, if they want to, it's a reaction bite anyway. If they want more action, then of course, obviously, you can split the tails. If they want it subtle, you can leave that attached. But that bait comes in 28 colors and comes in 2 sizes. And it's a really good bait. It's been with us a long time. I highly would recommend trying that for flipping. Okay. And then the second bait I wanted to highlight today that we could talk about for flipping is the best flipper ever, developed by Bradley Hallman. The BFE is its most commonly known. I've got a South Africa one on here, but I just did on just a small punching rig, like you might want to pitch around timber, little flipping rig, little pitching rig with a J-style, what I call old J-style hook in it. And basically that bait's 4.5 inches. It has that same type of beaver tails on. I kind of wanted to cover both our baits that were like that today, except you don't have to separate or anything. You just pitch it in there and let it do its business. And we've had a lot of success with this so far. Since this bait came out, a lot of people are catching fish. I know, like out in the Midwest, it's doing real well. Out in Oklahoma, Kansas, those type places, a lot of my guys and former pro staffers there are doing real well with it. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I think that one there, if you see the tails are kind of split, that's actually where I was messing with it and kind of just cut it, where you wanted to add
that's
feet.
Right. You can split it, make it flap even more if you want to. And this bait comes in 15 colors, and it comes in some really good colors. I know that the boys at Bass Talk Live, Matt Pangrak and Bradley, kind of dialed in the colors from just talking and asking on the show, and I think they did a couple of color contests and all kinds of different things. So we got some unusual stuff in this.
Obviously BTL.
BTL, yes sir, no doubt. It's different. It's got that chartreuse stripe on both sides. It's a lot different. And then there's just some swirled up colors and some laminates. So definitely take a look at the BFE. If you're a flipper and you like to flip all the time and you're not trying this bait, you're probably missing out. Okay. All right. So that kind of tells, talks a little bit about some of the things that you can do flipping wise that we have.
Yeah, and I know you're not a big like heavy cover flipper.
No,
not
about all I do is
big,
pitch to the grass or
Yeah.
something like that most of the time in my fishing.
So if you were going to use that, what kind of stuff do you like to sort of flip or pitch to?
I usually pitch the grass here. That's kind of what we do. And this lake's not really a heavy punching type lake, so
Right.
we'll throw like a 3/8 ounce lead, maybe a 1/4 ounce at the biggest, and just pitch it up in the edge of that grass. And sometimes the fish are in the grass and they'll bite it when it hits in, or sometimes as you ease it off the grass line, they'll grab it. So I normally use like a 17-pound line, and your typical what I call worm rod, a heavy action, like you'd use that deep, and then just pitch it in there, short cast, and throw it in there and work it out, and it works real well that way too. This bait's really good around wood. I can tell you the BFE, it works real well around blowdowns and wood. I know that's one of the things people tell me that they really like it around wood.
Sure. And if you're going to do any kind of pitching, what style hook do you use for that?
I like a wide gap hook. I use a wide gap hook just about everything I do, and I'm not going to say that's correct, okay, by any means. That's just kind of what I'm comfortable with.
Sure.
I like a wide gap hook. I know yourself, you like this J style hook a lot.
I do, especially on a worm and stuff.
Yeah. So but I think there's no way to go wrong with that. I'm not real crazy about a flipping type hook where we fish, straight shank. I usually just use some type of worm hook.
And do you ever? I know you've got that like your big punching rig with a skirt on it. Do you ever mess with that at all?
I don't mess with that much here because we don't have a lot of stuff to punch. There's some hyacinths like up on the northern end of the lake, but I don't do a lot of that.
Sure.
I got other ways I can catch them that works easier for me. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Well, this is a pretty good question that came in. Kind of plays off.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about. I think we got several questions we can go right on into, and you can leave that first one.
Sure. Let's see. JT Living Good was asking. What flipping baits other than the Yo Mama and the BFE do we make?
Well, I can tell you from experience a couple of good flipping baits. One over on the Alabama River that's really good is that Yo Daddy that Russ Lane came up with. It's smaller and it's more compact. That bait, it's 3 inches. It's got a big, thicker, meaty body. If you're going to use a flipping type hook, and there's a lot of stuff like over that part of Alabama, you can punch it into. It works really well. That's a good flipping bait. It's compact, and they seem to like it. Color I like in that green pumpkin, blue swirl seems to work really well. I know that Russ likes that craw orange a lot too. So
sure.
Some of the colors, that work good in it, I know about. From my experiences here dealing with pro staffers, but that's a really good punching bait. And then obviously the other punching bait would be the fighting frog, and honestly that's the one I like to use the most. And we have all talked about that 100 times because I'm not throwing in something really thick, so I can we're able to swim that bait out of there. And if I want to, like there's a hole in the grass and I want to kill it and get some action, it'll flap. And if I want to pull it off the edge of the grass line and kill it and watch it fall, you can do that with that bait and you get some action, a lot of action. This bait here doesn't have a ton of action, neither do this one, not like a fighting frog. So if I like something that's kind of busy, especially when I'm just fishing grass lines, but I do think this bait's really good around wood.
You'd be doing more pitching rather than
more pitching than punching. Yeah, no doubt.
So definitely between those two kind of deader action baits and the fighting frog and Yoda have a little more action.
A little more action. That kind of gives everybody a little choice of 2 different pick your poison type baits. I mean, we got some other baits you could use as well, but those would probably be the ones just from my experience here over the last 10 years are the ones that people buy to do certain things with.
And I know we don't have one in front of you, but you might could even use that new quarantine crawl for.
Well, I think so. When we get some of them, when we get them here, and we can get them in our customers' hands, I think that might be something we could try as well.
Sure. All right, let's see. Phantom Echoes was wondering, what would you throw for highly pressured bass on the bank? So I'm going to take that 2 ways, okay? So we fish from a boat a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, you might say on the bank would be like fishing in a boat up shallow.
Yes.
But I don't know if he means that or fishing from the bank.
Well, I think either way I'd use the same bait, to be honest with you.
That's
I
fine.
think I'd use a trick stick. I think that's a good bait when there's lots of pressure that they seem to like. Some type of stick bait. You can wacky rig it, you can straight rig it, whatever you like to do. I think my answer to that would be a trick stick. Try a trick stick. Got 55 colors in it, so I'm sure you might can find something there that you like.
You gonna give it? Let's just give him maybe 1 or 2 colors.
Hematoma, green pumpkin.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Owen Larson, he was wondering what are the best or your favorite maybe baits to use on a Carolina rig.
Okay.
Maybe a seasonal question too.
That's a real seasonal question. I know, like in the spring of the year, I like to pull a Carolina rig lizard.
Yep.
But I don't like to pull that in the summer.
Sure.
In the spring of the year, that lizard seems to be good on the Carolina rig, either the 6-inch model or the 8-inch model, depending on what the fish are wanting. That works really well. That tour swim worm is a bait you can pull year round on a Carolina rig and get bites on it. I know people say a paddle tail on a Carolina rig, but it does work. Believe me, if you don't try it, you'll be surprised. Don't tear the tail, just leave it solid, and you'll be amazed how many bites you get on it. And we've got like your little 6-inch finesse worm that works good in the summer.
Sure.
That you could use, or a creature bait. It just kind of pick the style of bait that you like to use. But I think you need to do that seasonally. I think in the spring of the year, I pretty much all I use is a lizard, and then out in the summer, I probably would put I could use a 10-inch worm on there. I could use like a creature bait, like we just talked about, a battle bug possibly. But also that 6-inch finesse worm works pretty good too. So that's just some ideas.
Absolutely. And let's see, we had another question we're going to do is the Chaps was wondering, what is your favorite dirty water bait?
That kind of depends on your lake and what time of the year it is. I mean, traditionally, if it's the spring of the year and you fish are trying to spawn, I like to use a spinnerbait in dirty water. I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, to get the vibration plus the flash. But I also like to throw a craw tube in dirty water.
Sure.
It works real well in dirty water. And the fighting frog works pretty well in dirty water. Just make sure I believe my theory on that is you darken your colors up in muddy water.
Sure.
Your black neons, your black and blues, and then and basically do something that gives off some vibration, because that helps the fish to be able to feel and see that bait, and I think you'll be all right.
Do you like to run your spinnerbait with a pro swimmer or something, or the trailer?
Usually I put a curly tail on it, but now we've got that new straight tail swim on that I haven't had an opportunity to try yet because it's not spinnerbait season yet. Sure. But I know back in the day, say 25 years ago, almost all of our spinnerbait trailers were straight tailed. So I think you could go back to that and put that new split tail swim on and do real well with it too, and it won't drag the bait as much as say some of the stuff that we have now does. Something to look at. Keep your bait more upright, not make it turn somewhat to its side.
Sure.
Be interesting to try. I know hoping this next spring we get some muddy water we can do that, definitely.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, anyway, we'll shut it down for this week, and we'll look forward to talking to everyone again next week here at Big Bite Baits.